What's up, guys? Think you know everything about the world? Prepare to be amazed. Get ready for a mind-blowing geography lesson. And this time, we're diving deep, like Mariana Trench deep, into the world of geography. Brace yourself for a geography lesson like no other. We're uncovering 25 geography facts that will blow your mind. So strap in, smash that like button for the algorithm, and let's get this geographic journey started. All right, you guys know I love a good challenge, right? So, pop quiz, what's the world's largest desert? Most people would say the Sahara, but guess what? It's actually Antarctica. Yeah, you heard that right. The South Pole, the land of ice and penguins, is a desert. Next up, we're heading to the land of the rising sun, Japan. Specifically Tokyo, one of the most densely populated cities on the planet. We're talking more people living in this city than the entire country of Canada. Canada, guys. That's huge. All right, guys, get ready to have your minds blown. Did you know that Russia is absolutely massive? We're talking seriously huge. I'm talking so big that the entire surface area of Russia is actually larger than the dwarf planet Pluto. Can you believe that? Pluto is tiny, right? We're talking 17,098,242 square kilometers for Russia versus a measly 2,376 square kilometers for Pluto. That means you could fit over 7,190 Plutos inside of Russia. It's insane. Next time you're looking at a map, take a minute to really appreciate the sheer scale of Russia. It's mind-boggling. All right, so we all know Australia is a pretty big place, right? Like home to kangaroos, the outback, and more stunning beaches than you can shake a stick at. But did you know that Australia is actually wider than the moon? You heard me right, wider than the actual moon. How crazy is that? I'm talking about a whopping 4,000 kilometers across from east to west. That's wider than the entire diameter of the moon. That's one seriously wide continent. It's just mind-blowing to think about how big our planet really is, and Australia is out there proving it. All right, guys, let's talk about the Dead Sea, which honestly has a pretty misleading name. It's not dead, it's just chillin' at the lowest point on Earth. We're talking 430.5 meters below sea level. This means it's the lowest point on the surface of the Earth's crust. Imagine being that low. It's so salty down there that you can literally float on the water. It's like a natural lazy river, and you don't even need an inflatable donut. So, next time you're feeling down, just remember, it could be worse. You could be the Dead Sea. Just kidding, the Dead Sea is awesome. All right, guys, get this. Africa is the only continent that's in all four hemispheres at the same time. That's right, we're talking north, south, east, and west. It's like Africa couldn't decide which half of the planet it wanted to be on, so it just said, why not all of them? We're talking a continent that crosses the equator and the prime meridian like it's nothing. Most continents like to keep it simple, sticking to one or two hemispheres, but Africa is just built different. It's got to be one of the most geographically diverse continents out there. I'm talking deserts, rainforests, mountains, coastlines, you name it. And the fact that it touches all four hemispheres just adds to how epic this place is. I mean, that's just mind-blowing. All right, you guys know I love a good challenge, right? But I gotta say, trying to walk the entire coastline of Canada, that might be impossible even for me. Canada has the longest coastline of any country in the world. We're talking over 200,000 kilometers. That's like going around the Earth 5 times. And it's not just the length, it's the variety. You've got rocky cliffs, sandy beaches, glaciers, forests, you name it. Canada's coastline is like a geography highlight reel all in one place. Seriously, if you're looking for an adventure, forget about those boring landlocked countries. Get yourself to Canada and explore the endless coastline. You won't be disappointed. All right, island lovers, this one's for you. If you thought one island was cool, how about over 7,000 of them? That's right, the Philippines is made up of over 7,000 islands. We're talking paradise times 1,000. Beaches, volcanoes, rainforests, you name it, the Philippines has got it spread out across all these amazing islands. Can you imagine exploring all of those? I'd need like a lifetime supply of Mr. Beast burgers and a whole fleet of boats to tackle that challenge. But seriously, the Philippines is a dream destination for anyone who loves adventure and exploring new places. With so many islands to discover, you're guaranteed to find your own little slice of paradise. All right, guys, get ready for fact number 9, and let me tell you, this one's a real breath of fresh air. You know the Amazon rainforest, that massive jungle in South America? Turns out it produces a whopping 20% of the world's oxygen. Can you believe that? This place is like the Earth's lungs, pumping out oxygen for all of us. It's absolutely crucial to keeping our planet healthy. I'm talking millions of trees, plants, and all sorts of crazy creatures working together. We're talking about a place teeming with life, from jaguars to monkeys to all those colorful birds you see in documentaries. It's a reminder that we gotta protect our planet and all its amazing places. I mean, imagine if we lost 20% of the air we breathe. So next time you take a deep breath, thank the Amazon rainforest. It's doing some serious work keeping us alive, and trust me, that's something worth fighting for. Alright guys, get ready to have your minds blown, because fact number 10 is about to rock your world. You know Mount Everest, right? The tallest mountain in the world? Well, hold on to your hats, because that might not be entirely true. We've got a new contender, and it's called Mauna Kea. Now this bad boy is located in Hawaii, and here's the kicker. If you measure it from its base on the ocean floor, it's actually taller than Everest. Yeah, you heard that right. See, Mount Everest might be huge above sea level, but Mauna Kea starts way down there in the depths of the Pacific. We're talking over 33,500 feet from base to summit. It's like a hidden giant, just chilling beneath the waves. So next time someone asks you what the tallest mountain in the world is, you can hit them with this mind-blowing fact. It just goes to show the Earth is full of surprises, and sometimes the biggest discoveries are hidden in plain sight. Alright guys, fact number 11 is a real sandstorm of a fact, so buckle up. You know the Sahara Desert, right? The largest hot desert on Earth? Well, get this, it's actually getting bigger. That's right, the Sahara Desert is expanding, and we're talking about a land grab of epic proportions. It's growing south, swallowing up farmland and villages at an alarming rate. This process is called desertification, and it's a serious problem. Imagine a giant sand monster, slowly but surely gobbling up everything in its path. That's what's happening in parts of Africa, and it's displacing communities and putting a strain on resources. We're talking about a major environmental challenge. But here's the thing, it's not all doom and gloom. People are fighting back, planting trees and building barriers to stop the desert's advance. It's a tough battle, but it's one we can't afford to lose. You guys hear that? That's the sound of another myth getting busted. We've all heard that you can see the Great Wall of China from space, right? It's like common knowledge. Well, guess what? It's not true. Astronauts have confirmed that it's actually really hard to see the Great Wall from orbit. It's just not that big compared to, the entire Earth. I know, I was shocked too. Turns out the materials and width of the wall make it blend in too much with the surrounding landscape. So much for that myth. But hey, at least we learned something new today, right? Let's move on to another mind-blowing fact, because this list is far from over. Okay, get this. The Pacific Ocean, the biggest ocean on Earth, it's actually shrinking. I'm talking millions of square kilometers over millions of years. Crazy, right? So how's this even possible? Well, blame it on those tectonic plates. Remember those things? Yeah, they're constantly moving and shifting, and it turns out the Pacific plate is getting pushed under surrounding plates. This process is called subduction, and it's basically like a giant Earth-sized game of Tetris, with the plates rearranging themselves. And guess what? This shrinking act isn't going to stop anytime soon. So yeah, the Pacific Ocean might be huge, but even it can't escape the power of those mighty tectonic plates. On to the next incredible fact. Alright guys, we're heading to Iceland for this next one, and no, we're not talking about the frozen food aisle. Iceland, the actual country, is doing something pretty wild. It's growing. Yeah, you heard me right, this island nation is literally expanding in size every year. We're talking about 5 centimeters, which might not sound like a lot, but hey, every little bit counts, right? So, what's the deal with this growth spurt? Well, Iceland sits smack dab on top of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which is basically a giant crack in the Earth's crust. And guess what comes out of those cracks? Molten rock, aka lava. As this lava cools and solidifies, it adds to Iceland's landmass, making it bigger and bigger. It's like a slow-motion, fiery magic show, and that's why Iceland is one of the most geologically active places on the planet. Alright guys, buckle up, because we're about to dive into some serious river facts. And when I say serious, I mean seriously impressive. We're talking about the Nile River, the undisputed heavyweight champion of all rivers when it comes to length. This thing stretches for over 6,650 kilometers, which is like longer than the entire United States from coast to coast. That's insane. Imagine trying to kayak the whole thing. You'd probably age like 10 years by the time you reach the end. The Nile has been a lifeline for civilizations for centuries. Think about ancient Egypt and all those incredible pyramids and temples. Well, the Nile River was the lifeblood of that whole civilization, providing water for crops, transportation, and even inspiration for their mythology. It's just mind-blowing to think about how many people have relied on this one river throughout history, and it's still going strong today. Yo, you guys ever seen Niagara Falls? That's pretty epic, right? Well, get this. The world's largest waterfall isn't even on land. It's underwater. I know, right? Mind blown. This underwater monster is called the Denmark Strait Cataract, and let me tell you, it puts Niagara Falls to shame. Picture this, a massive waterfall, 3 times taller than Angel Falls, which is already the tallest waterfall on land, just cascading down into the depths of the ocean. It's all thanks to this crazy temperature difference between the cold, dense water flowing south from the Nordic seas and the warmer water from the Irminger Sea. The cold water basically plunges like a boss over this massive ridge in the seabed, creating this insane underwater waterfall. It's like something out of a movie, but it's real. And the craziest part? We only discovered this thing back in the 1980s. There's so much about our planet we still don't know, and that's what makes it so awesome. Alright guys, we're about to crank up the heat because we're heading to the hottest place on Earth. And no, it's not inside my car after a 10-hour challenge. It's Death Valley, California. This place is no joke. We're talking scorching hot temperatures that can melt your shoes, literally. The highest temperature ever recorded here was a mind-blowing 134 degrees Fahrenheit, or 56.7 degrees Celsius for all you international fans. That's hotter than a pizza oven. You can literally fry an egg on the sidewalk here, though I wouldn't recommend eating it. Trust me, I'm no stranger to crazy challenges, but even I wouldn't mess around with Death Valley's heat. But hey, if you ever find yourself in Death Valley, make sure you bring plenty of water, sunscreen, and maybe a portable air conditioner or two. And whatever you do, don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing facts. Alright guys, buckle up because we're about to head to the most frigid place on Earth where people actually live. I'm talking about Oymyakon, Russia, a small village nestled deep in Siberia. This place is so cold, the average temperature in January is a bone-chilling -50 degrees Celsius. That's colder than your freezer, and you thought your winter was bad. The lowest temperature ever recorded here, a mind-blowing -67.7 degrees Celsius. Can you imagine living in a place where your eyelashes freeze together when you blink, and your car needs to be kept running 24/7 so it doesn't turn into an ice sculpture? It's insane! But here's the crazy part. Around 500 people still call Oymyakon home. They've adapted to this extreme environment, relying on traditional lifestyles and a whole lot of layers to survive. Talk about hardcore. Alright guys, we're talking islands today, and not just any island. Get ready for Greenland. This place is absolutely gigantic. It holds the title of the world's largest island, and trust me, it puts your average island to shame. We're talking about a whopping 2.16 million square kilometers of land. To put that into perspective, Greenland is actually bigger than the entire continent of Australia. That's mind-blowing. Now you might be thinking, Greenland, it's gotta be lush and green, right? Well, the name is a bit deceiving. Most of Greenland is actually covered in a massive ice sheet. We're talking about 80% of the island. But don't let the ice fool you. There's still a lot to explore in Greenland, from stunning fjords to incredible wildlife. It's a land of extremes, and I'm all about extremes. Get ready to dive deep, because we're about to explore the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the ocean. This underwater canyon located in the Pacific Ocean is so deep it's hard to even fathom. Imagine this. The deepest point, called the Challenger Deep, plunges down a staggering 11 kilometers. That's like stacking 22 Empire State Buildings on top of each other and then diving to the very bottom. Insane, right? Now you might be wondering what on earth could survive down there in that kind of pressure and darkness. Well, believe it or not, there are some seriously strange and fascinating creatures that call the Mariana Trench home. We're talking about giant amoebas, bizarre-looking fish that look like they came straight out of a sci-fi movie, and other creatures we haven't even discovered yet. It's like another planet down there. You guys think you can handle a real tongue twister? I'm talking a name so long it'll make your head spin. We're headed to New Zealand, home to the longest place name in the world. Get this, it's called Tamatawakatangi Hangakawa-o-Tamatep Okai-Wenuaki-Tanatahu. I'm not even kidding. That's 85 letters of pure geographical chaos. Imagine trying to tell someone where you're going. Yeah, I'm headed over to Tamatawakatangi Hangakawa-o-Tamatep Okai-Wenuaki-Tanatahu. Wanna come? You'd be there all day. We challenged people to pronounce this beast for $10,000. You gotta see who won. Alright guys, buckle up because we're about to get drier than a popcorn fart in this place. I'm talking about the Atacama Desert in South America, the driest place on Earth. They measure rain in millimeters per year here, and some parts haven't seen a single drop in centuries. It's so dry, scientists do research here to simulate conditions on Mars. We're talking zero humidity, zero bugs, zero chance of getting rained out on your desert picnic. Just kidding, you wouldn't survive a picnic here without like a gallon of water per minute. Get ready to dive into an underwater world that's more colorful and crazier than a bouncy house filled with puppies. We're talking about the Great Barrier Reef, the largest coral reef system on this planet. This thing is so massive you can actually see it from space. That's like bigger than all the pizza I ate last year combined. And I eat a lot of pizza. We're talking over 2,900 individual reefs teeming with thousands of species of fish, sharks, turtles, and more. It's like the Times Square of the ocean, but way more awesome. What's up, everybody? You ready for another mind-blowing geography fact? This one's about cities in the clouds, literally. You might think a city high up in the mountains is some fantasy land, but it's not. We're talking about La Paz, Bolivia. This incredible city sits way up in the Andes Mountains at a mind-blowing elevation of 11,975 feet above sea level. That's like 3.5 Burj Khalifas stacked on top of each other. Can you imagine living that high up? It's crazy to think about how people live their lives with that thin air. They're playing soccer, riding bikes, just doing their thing, all while being closer to the stars than most people on Earth. Make sure you catch your breath at this altitude because we're about to dive into another crazy fact. Alright guys, get ready to have your minds blown again because we're about to talk about the king of volcanoes. And no, I'm not talking about some tiny mountain with a little lava pit. We're talking about Mauna Loa in Hawaii, the biggest volcano on Earth. This thing is so massive it takes up a huge chunk of the island. We're talking over 2,000 square miles. That's bigger than the entire state of Rhode Island. And here's the crazy part. Mauna Loa is what's called a shield volcano, which means it's built up over thousands of years from these slow-flowing lava eruptions. It's not like those explosive ones you see in movies. This is a gentle giant, but don't let that fool you. It's still a force of nature. Speaking of forces of nature, stick around because we've got one more mind-blowing geography fact coming up. You won't want to miss it. So there you have it. 25 geography facts that will blow your mind. I bet you thought you knew everything about this planet, huh? From the highest city in the sky to the largest volcano on Earth, we've covered it all. Don't forget to smash that like button if you learned something new today. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on more mind-blowing videos just like this one. Until next time, stay curious.